well, am I the kind of friend that I would want? They need to be the same kind of lame that I am.
What lame level are you? Oh, you're a
Yes.
5? Me too.
I'm a drink tea and do puzzles.
Welcome back and happy Tuesday, turkeys. How long have we known each other?
We've known each other for 2 decades.
I am not apologizing for who I am or what I like or the people that I love.
How do I be a wife? How do I be a mom? And how do I be myself and all of that? You didn't see that coming, did you?
Good morning.
Happy Tuesday.
We're accidentally stumbling upon a series, I think. Let's jump right in. I last week was pondering about what's a leader. This week's ponderings is what is a good friend? What do they look like? What characteristics do they embody? I've been doing some reflection on my quality as a friend, kind of, again, journal life, but what is a friend and kind of trying to flesh that out, especially in adult life where none of the people that we seem to love live anywhere near us, at least in my case. I think this is a millennial thing.
Why did we do this? Why did we all move away so far from each other?
It's really quite disturbing. But so what does friendship look like in the middle of being an adult and families and new moms and kids and stuff happening? And then as I reviewed some of that, then I pondered to myself, well, am I the kind of friend that I would want?
That's a deep question.
Right? Because it's probably good to turn it back on myself.
I have already so many thoughts about that question. We'll have to come back specifically to that one. Someone you can grow with and that they support you through all of life's journeys and phases. So like not someone who's just here for the good time or here for this and then fall off. It's like we've changed so much over the course of our lives to have someone go through that with you and still love you the same through all the different things. Like that's kind of what came to mind when I was thinking about this.
Ditto. Okay, well, let's sort of break it down. I started off with my line of questionings of what characteristics does a friend embody? Like what comes to mind? My first couple thoughts were that somebody who is empathic and good at listening, but also to me seeming equally important is to be having a good sense of humor and the ability to be playful. Nobody wants a serious Sally just
That's
moping
true.
around all the time.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. You're so right. Because I had put like genuine interest, like give genuine interest to the other, like supportive, giving grace, communicative in whatever capacity that looks like. But also the fun stuff really does help because hey, you don't want to hang out with someone who's kind of, I'm not going to say lame, but maybe you don't have the same sense of humor. And then what are you going to do? Just like talk about the weather all day, you know?
Yeah. They need to be the same kind of lame that I am. Or our
Wait,
lameness needs to jive.
what lame level are you? Oh, you're a 5? Me too.
I'm a drink tea and do puzzles.
But then
Like
also
when
make
my friend Aaron
sarcastic death
came.
jokes.
Yes, dude. When my friend Aaron came down last summer, when Jason was gone on his boys trip, literally it was the middle of summertime and we both were like, we should do a puzzle and turn the air conditioning down and do tea and light a fall candle.
Oh my gosh. Nice.
And then the second to last day, we said we should just transition it to Christmas. So we did a Christmas candle and listened to Christmas music.
That is so funny. I bet
She
you
was
love
always
that.
my holiday friend because we worked at Starbucks. So
Yeah.
just the setups and the nostalgia of all of that stuff. But it reminded me too of how we used to always do puzzles and that kind of thing.
So no one in my
Yeah,
household that does them with me at this moment in time. So I love puzzles.
me too. If I had a bachelorette party in this day and age, in this phase of my life where I am right now, it would be to hang out and do puzzles and play games.
That's seriously perfect.
Oh
My
God.
gosh.
Okay, so here's the other thing. As I've been pondering this, that I think this is how all of this started. But the real friends, the core friends that you're going to go to for something are the ones who will brainstorm with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I sort of think everything else, at least in my life, stratifies under that. At what stage do I tell a person something I'm nervous about starting? Or a dream I have or something I want to build? At what point in that phase do I tell a person? And I think that is the easiest way for me to identify on what our depth of friendship is and honestly, what my trust level is with them.
That's true. That's a good point because you're not going to tell someone right away. Like, if we have people in our lives where if you're going for a dream or if you're doing this, like you're nervous to tell people. So maybe you tell your spouse and then you wait like until you're almost done with the project or the plan or the dream until you start sharing it. Because, yeah, for me, I feel like depending on how someone reacts, it's either they're like fake happy for you and they're just like, oh, yeah, that sounds great. Like, oh my God. let me know how it goes. Or it's like, okay, I mean, I guess, like very unsupportive and yeah, not helpful. So that's a good way to measure it.
This is dramatic, but it reminded me of my olden evangelical days where the verse of "Don't cast your pearls before swine." Again, I don't want to call people pigs. That's very dramatic. But just that concept of if you have something that's small and precious and little and fragile potentially, you maybe don't go throwing that about willy-nilly. Or, I mean, you can, but you're probably going to get burnt. And especially when you're in those early phases where you're dealing with ambivalence and you might be dealing with self-doubt and you're concerned about what other people might think. I think the real friends are the people who stand in there and will brainstorm with you, which doesn't necessarily mean being 100% on board immediately and just saying, oh, that's a great idea, especially if the idea is absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
I mean,
because you need to know
yes.
if it's, yeah.
So not blowing smoke up your asshole, but I think what I have realized is helpful to me, or what I've appreciated in the past, is when somebody is initially excited with you, like they meet you where you are with your excitement. Oh, that's a great idea. And then prompt you to tell them more, just to let you talk, to be that sounding board, to let you talk about it. And if you trust the person and if you have any sort of self-awareness, you'll ask them for their feedback, at which point, you want to be the kind of friend that can give honest feedback to them. But that whole idea of someone who will ask you questions and kind of prod you along versus the person that's going to say, oh no, it might not be a good time. The market seems to be unstable. Have you considered this? Well, how are you going to do that? You already work full time. Like,
Yeah. That's not helpful.
no, especially, I guess maybe if you're somebody that is wildly arrogant and you need to be brought back down to the planet of Earth. But in my case, I'm so hyper self-critical. I've already said all of those things to myself. I certainly don't need to be reminded of the fact that what I'm saying sounds insane.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like, okay, say it is a terrible idea. I still feel like with a partner, you said meet them where they are, acknowledge their excitement because you don't want to immediately just like pee in their ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
But then, yeah, like ask questions, like figure out the details and maybe let them talk it out. And if it is a terrible idea, hopefully you can prompt them to realize self-realize that.
Right.
Without being, I mean, we've always talked about it. It's like that balance of, I don't want to make you feel like with people or strangers or work. It's like, I don't want to make you feel stupid. So I'm going to say, hey, that's an option. Totally. Have we thought about doing it this way? Or like just saying something that's not completely so harsh. But yeah, I think a friend also needs to tell you when it may be a bad idea because you don't want them to fail completely. If
Mhm.
you know, it's like, there's just no way, at least letting them know what may be realistic and then they can still make the decision on themselves because ultimately it's their life,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess the difference is someone saying, I want to spend $50,000 to join this MLM. But I still would argue that you're a good friend, somebody who's really self-aware can stand there and say, oh, tell me why, tell me more. What's interesting about it? Because the root of the matter is probably that person wants to strike out and do something on their own. And that is still something worth encouraging.
50,000 for an MLM.
Well, I know, I'm just trying to say something that's blatantly stupid.
Yeah, that would be
But
crazy.
like, oh, do you have $50,000? That's not the right tone. I'm sorry. Anyway, because this got me then pondering. I don't want to be a dream crusher. I think I can lean negative or lean overly realistic or things like that.
I do too, and I think it's because we're very logical
Yeah.
side, right thinkers.
But also, to genuinely, especially as I've gotten older, I genuinely love hearing people's dreams. Like, what do you want to do? What is your hobby that you wish you could convert into something that makes money?
Mhm.
What is your creative outlet that you really enjoy? There's so many low stakes ways to just put yourself out there or put something you make out there, or whether it's Etsy or YouTube or whatever. I think I've gotten better about that as I've gotten older, and I've gotten better at recognizing the value in people just having something that's theirs or being excited about something and learning how to jump on the train and then again ask those critical thinking questions and maybe prompt the person to get going. But I don't ever want to be that person, which I'm sure I have been in the past. I don't want to be that person that just comes out of the gate initially and shits all over somebody's parade.
Yeah. Because then that person doesn't feel like there's trust there to go with you with for the next idea or whatever it is. Yeah.
Again, if it's like something that's obviously dangerous or ridiculous, but I would argue still that with every idea, no matter how lunatic sounding it is, there's a why behind it that if you could help somebody get to the bottom of, is still worth supporting.
Yep. I agree.
Okay. Well, my other major tier of, I don't know, hallmarks of a good friend would definitely be, for me, top level, they let you make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hard to get to that place with somebody because you have to have time in enough for them to know you on a base level so that they can give you the benefit of the doubt. So if you do something that's poopy or shitty or you're having an off day or whatever it is, that person has the ability to look at the landscape of your friendship and say, well, this is kind of a one-off. And what you said of giving people grace.
I feel like as adults, especially, it's like we are all dealing with so much. Like you don't know what happened at work that day, or something could have happened at home, or maybe they're just up here because their kid's been screaming in their ear all day. Like there's a few people in my life that I haven't known for super long, but they understand, like it was just like already understood that, so yeah, she may not text back until a day or two later, and we're not going to get offended. And that's refreshing because I do feel like people take things so personally, but being able to like understand, well, it's not always about me. Like I'm not going to get offended because she didn't text me back within 30 minutes because I'm feeling like she's ignoring me. She's probably got something else going on. I mean, it's the story of my life of me not texting people back. Having that reciprocated is hella refreshing.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't necessarily take a bunch of time for people to have that. You could go into a situation. I think for the most part, we're kind of good at reading people's vibes. If you're somewhat in tune with yourself, to be able to say, this person seems like a good person. They seem to genuinely care. Now, if somebody's chronically never there for you or they don't follow through, I mean, there are things, I guess, that could maybe wear that down where you say, well, maybe they just don't have the bandwidth for this either. But for sure, I just think that's so important. I also hope that that's something that I do where somebody's not walking on a minefield of, oh, you said something or you made a joke or you have a certain political leaning that I find off-putting, so now you're dead to me.
Right. I feel like that's the crazy part where you pick one thing. And again, I feel like it's very specific to this day and age that we're in. If you don't agree with X, then we can't be friends. If you don't agree with Y, then I don't want to hang out with you, which is crazy. And maybe there's some things, like really bad things, if you are support. I mean, like if you're just like a bad person, like, okay, don't be friends with them. But just because you say something that like could potentially be offensive, like you should understand that person's maybe humor, or just like let it roll off. Like if there's no ill intent behind it or harm, then okay. And people make mistakes too, and they say stupid shit, and it's just like, okay, like we can forgive and forget, even if it's a really bad thing that has been said, just talking it out and getting past it. But yeah, I lost my train of thought. But I feel like as adults, people get really persnickety with things, and it's nice to maybe not agree on every single thing and still be in a good friendship without any judgment.
I mean, I can say I appreciate you, especially because we bounce off this all the time. It's so nice to have someone where you can say, am I crazy? Does this sound bad? And I even have, I have a couple of friends with work and similar, and we do that to each other. It's so nice to be able to take something that you're kind of unsure if is this socially off-putting or not, and you can bounce it off of that person without worrying.
Yes, because if you are wrong, then it's like, I mean, I didn't take it that way, but like maybe, like you can feel it out with them, and you're still comfortable to ask the question. And then usually like 99% of the time it's like, oh yeah, definitely. And I love that when you can agree on just the weird things that happen in life and you talk about them, like, are we in the Twilight Zone or something?
Yeah, am I crazy? Because I know I do that to you all the time with parenting things, because I'll notice a friend do something or say something or make a choice or whatever. And I'll think to myself, well, I don't know, because I don't have kids. That might be normal. That might make sense. I'm just nosy. So then I go to you to be like, would you do that? Does that seem weird? Is this logical? Am I missing a piece of the puzzle? Anyway, the thing that I said, the hallmark to me, if I sum all of this up, is that your close friends are the people where you can feel like you're unwinding around, truly. Like you uncoil. because otherwise I feel like in different aspects of life, we all have parts of ourselves that we keep tucked in or we kind of keep under wraps. Again, when you're talking about the strata of your friends, the ones that are really the close ones are the people that you can vent or you can rant or you can say something or you can kind of just let it all hang out and you don't have to worry about keeping things in line. And those are the people where your nervous system relaxes. Hopefully, if you're in a relationship with a partner, that's what you have with that person. But I think definitely those real close friends, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It lets you can get out of fight or flight with them and you're not on edge.
Yeah, I feel like if you feel like your energy is drained after hanging out with somebody, that's a big red flag. You should feel refreshed and or at least like relaxed or like that was good for my soul. Just to sit there, not care about how I look, not worry about what I say, and just say all the things and do all the topics. Or just sit there and stare at the wall and laugh at whatever, like dumb
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's just carefree. I feel like it should feel carefree and refreshing instead of draining and like you're overthinking everything you say because you don't want to offend somebody or you don't want to step on anyone's toes or you don't want them to judge you. Those are my biggest things where it's like, I just want to be and not think about how I am being.
Yeah. To close out, I can just we'll touch on the whole am I a good friend topic, but the questions that I have asked myself that I want to continue to reflect on are kind of the things that I narrowed down were recognizing I've made mistakes in the past, especially with people I maybe have known for a long time, family members, childhood friends, those kinds of things. Being able to recognize I've made mistakes. And then for me now in present, asking myself, am I willing to go out of my way to help a friend? Am I willing to give grace to the people that are in my life? Do I allow other people to make mistakes because I am hyper self-critical and I think I impose that on other people and I don't necessarily need to? And then do I expect too much from myself and therefore expect too much from others?
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read that on something recently. It basically said it was something about it was the reverse. They were saying, or if you're expecting too much from other people, are you also being hypercritical of yourself? I feel like it goes both ways.
Mm-hmm. Well, you had asked the question earlier, would I want a friend like how I am a friend? You said it more eloquently, but when you said that, I was like, oh, I don't think that would be good. I think I need someone different. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
As much as I need to reflect what I would like, I also feel like there's different types of people in this world. And if we both suck at communicating and we both don't text and we both don't, like that's not good. So like I almost need someone slightly different. And I mean, I think that's like with partners too. Like you need things that they're good at that you're maybe not as good at, like communication. So as much as I do strive to be a better friend, I don't feel like I would love a friend exactly like me. I don't know if that's a bad thing or good thing, or just a neutral thing. But for me, like obviously communication, we've talked about it. And yes, there's reasons for it. So it's like I try not to beat myself up on it, but maybe the better thing is to be more thoughtful and try to just like think of how I can be there for somebody when sometimes me communicating through my phone is not super great, but like I just want to be more thoughtful. So maybe I just voice text them real quick, like, how you doing? Or just maybe going a little bit above and beyond because I get stuck in my own world and I'm very, we all can get self-centered, but being genuinely curious about what is going on in their life and try to be more engaged, I guess is my overall thoughts for me and what I could do better as a friend.
Yeah. I think too, like you said, there's times in life, there's phases in life, there's things, there's limitations. But at the end of the day, if you're in front of somebody and you have someone's attention or they have your attention, are you being the kind of person you would want in that moment?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or
I mean, because I don't want to be BFFs with someone that's exactly like me either in that respect, as far as personalities. And I like to have people that have different strengths and complementing character traits. But just if somebody, I guess I think where I ended with this is asking myself that in the moments where I'm talking to somebody or in the moments where somebody comes to me with something, it's the stupid golden rule shit. Treat people how you want to be treated, but asking myself if I was coming to someone with this idea or if I was coming to somebody with this cool thing that happened to me or this tragic thing that happened to me. How would I want to be supported? And if I can't be present enough for somebody in that moment, then offering an alternative of maybe when I could, and maybe being intentional about keeping the number of friendships to a lower amount if I don't have the bandwidth to invest completely, or being honest and upfront to just say, hey, I had a really rough day. I'm sorry, but I just can't take in any other information. You know, those kinds of things. Or sometimes just being like, Kaylee, just fucking suck it up because you're fine.
Yeah, it depends on the stage of life and everything. But it's nice to have someone like you because, you know, you could text me 5 different things that are important to me and I love reading them, but they may not be like urgently respond matter, you know? So you text me 5 times, but the 6th time, if you're like, hey, dude, I need your help, or I need to run something past you, or like, can you call me? You know, I'm like 2 seconds and I'll call you.
Yeah.
So it's like,
that's
you just
also
gotta
the
figure out
balance
who-
too.
Yeah.
On this side of saying like, okay, I need your help with something. When would be a good time?
Yeah. But also I think
I'm
you
the
just need
person
to know.
that I'm a multi-texter, so I'm so glad it doesn't bother you. And so what sucks about texting is I know in real life when you open it, you're probably like, and then, but I just don't get to see that.
I know. There should be a camera of no, that would be bad. If you like,
Right,
if they
especially-
recorded your facial expressions as you read texts.
So many Mrs. Potato Head while I'm pooping photos.
Oh my gosh. Well, I love you and you are such a good friend and I strive to be more like you and I'm very grateful for you and our friendship.
Very grateful for you, and I'm glad you're not as bouncy and needy as I am. It's a good melding pot. And like I said, when I need advice and I'm amped, fucking amped up with me. Even if it's